It's WrestleMania! That's right, WrestleMania. The greatest event in wrestling calendar. Now, chances are most of you have already seen WrestleMania 27, but personally I can't wait. It's set to be the biggest one ever. Undertaker gets Triple H. CM Punk, Randy Orton. Not to mention the return of Stone Cold Steve Austin and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Oh my God. Now, until then, unfortunately, we have to make do with a Super Nintendo game. WWF Super Wrestlemania, released in 1992. Let's take a look at it. Back in 1992, World Wrestling Entertainment was known as the WWF, the World Wrestling Federation. However, in 2000, the World Wrestling Federation were presented with a lawsuit by the World Wildlife Fund, also known at the time as the WWF. The Panda Huggers claimed that the two companies using the same initials led to confusion in the marketplace. Really? Pandas and wrestlers? Okay, maybe if your target audience are idiots. However, pandas and wrestlers, how much confusion could there actually have been? Now granted, I'd be pretty angry if I paid thousands of pounds for tickets to go to Madison Square Garden and all I found myself watching was a bunch of black and white mammals chomping on bamboo and wandering around. However, it all seems kinda petty to me. Petty or not, the Panda Huggers won and the WWF were forced to change their name to the WWE, or World Wrestling Entertainment. Well, 1-0 to the Pandas, I guess. So, back to the game in hand then, WWF Super Wrestlemania. The game, as you would imagine, is a wrestling simulation featuring a handful of superstars from the early 90s of the WWE. The roster is made up of 10 characters, all of whom chances are any wrestling fan would recognise. The Undertaker, Jake the Snake Roberts, Legion of Doom, and of course, the immortal Hulk Hogan. The game consists of either 1 or 2 player action, and consists of 3 different types of matches. Let's briefly look at each of them. 1-on-1. Just like it states, 1-on-1. 2 wrestlers in the ring at the same time. The first to place a pinfall on their opponent wins. Tag team. 1-on-1 action. 2 wrestlers in the ring at the same time. The first to place a pinfall on their opponent wins. The only difference is you now have another character who you can tag into the action to take over. And finally, Survivor Series. An 8-man tag team made famous in the Survivor Series pay-per-view, hence the name. 1-on-1 action, 2 wrestlers in the ring at the same time. The pinfalls are now in the style of an elimination match though. It is now not enough to pin your opponent, but you must now pin each member of the opposing team to win. First of all, the roster incorporates a lot of big names from the early 90s of wrestling. Obviously, no game would be complete without the balding blonde one, but some of the other additions are a real trip down memory lane. Not only that, but the game has 10 characters to choose from compared to the Mega Drive's choice of 8. Nice one, Nintendo. The graphics are decent and fairly crisp for a 1992 release. Each character certainly looks like the wrestler on screen, and I spotted minimal slowdown even during an 8-man Survivor Series match. The The game captures a lot of the WWE magic. Players can climb out of the ring at any time, other characters run into the ring during the matches, and the crowd are pretty excitable. And let's be honest, much more realistic than in any of the recent WWE games. All in all, the matches in the game are fun. In my opinion, generally, Super Nintendo games tend to age well. You can pick up a game nowadays and generally enjoy it as much as you would have done back in the day. However, unfortunately, WWF Super Wrestlemania is not a game that has aged well. A roster of only 10 characters, granted still better than the Mega Drive's 8, is nothing compared to the 30 or so characters you would expect nowadays. Just imagine what would happen if you picked up this game for your birthday. Say it was given to you from your gran as a birthday present. Okay? 10 characters is not enough to fill everybody's needs for their favourite wrestler. Imagine plugging this into your Super Nintendo with such excitement. It's your birthday, you're 10 years old, all you want to do is play as the Ultimate Warrior... Oh. No, never mind. Hulk Hogan. Again. Not even an Ultimate Warrior. I mean, come on. He was pretty big in those days. You couldn't even put him in the game. He was in the Mega Drive game. What's wrong with this game? However, worse than the lack of characters are the actual characters themselves. Okay, so they sure look different, but it won't take long for you to realise that they sure don't play any different. Every single character in the game has the exact same move. No signature moves, no finishers, nothing. Undertaker plays exactly the same as Macho Man Randy Savage, who himself plays exactly the same as Sid Justice. Even the Mega Drive version had signature moves. 1 all. The game also sounds very tired. There's no commentary, the crowd sounds are generic at the best, and the wrestlers all sound the same. To say that this is supposed to be WrestleMania, it sounds more like a bad recital of a rubbish pantomime at the local town hall. And that's the biggest problem. This game is based on WrestleMania, undeniably the greatest spectacle in all of wrestling. Yet the game itself doesn't feel grand at all. The title menus are dull, there is no career mode or anything like that, and generally the whole game feels like a quick cash-in rather than any decent attempt at a WrestleMania simulation. Obviously we can't expect anything compared to the WWE games nowadays. However, not even a career mode? Simple. Facing individual opponents, one after the other, maybe earning some championship gold at the end. Not difficult. In general terms, this game is okay for a laugh. It looks really good, it plays pretty well, and wrestling fans will get a real nostalgia kick out of it. However, there's not really an awful lot to keep you coming back. It's not that it's a dull game, it's really fun to play. However, there is so little content in the game that once you've played as everybody, you've exhausted all possibilities. There'd be no point playing any longer. I always assumed that the hardest games to review would be the ones that had so much content you couldn't possibly cover anything. Actually, it turns out that it's the other way around. There's so little in this game, there's not really anything to say. I almost had to run it alongside another review, combine them, just so that I had enough stuff to say. That's how little there is in this game. Once you've played as everybody, against everybody else, in all the match types, which let's remember is 3, there's no reason for you to keep going back to the game. It's a shame because it's a really good, fun experience. It's just far too short. 55% for WWF Super Wrestlemania. WWF Super Wrestlemania is a lackluster game with very little to offer. What's here is fun, there's just not enough of it. I can't believe that they moulded the plastic to make the game. There's no point, there's nothing in here. However, when you do play it, and when you do get the little out of it, it's actually pretty decent. If you want to see a really bad fighting game, then come back next time. I'm not going to ruin it for you, so just make sure you're there.